We're gambling over anything in in the stands or in the parking lot, and then disputes. No,
You don't want him on 3, do you?
then disputes
You
happen
said
over
him on
money,
3. Okay.
and that's what supposedly that one was about, a dispute over money. So
Okay. Mic 2, testing
yeah,
mic
no,
2.
trust me.
Mic 3, testing mic 3. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5.
you would be amazed at how quickly police got out there.
Mic 1, testing mic 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Where is my partner? Time's coming to an end here soon. You still got the lawn company? No, you're not doing that anymore. Oh man. Huh? Yeah. I don't have a lawn anymore, but I enjoyed mowing my own lawn. Yep. Yes. Peaceful, and it's a peaceful thing too. So when you take the opportunity to have it nice and quiet out there and put some headphones on, and do some work and. Yeah, no. It'll be in a year. It'll be all better. We'll have a nice canopy provided by Mr. Ross, and we can sit there in peace while it rains, or at least a certain percentage of the fans.
Yeah, majority.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be something to see.
So you got any plans?
Sort of.
Travel? See something?
No, not yet.
One of my biggest regrets is that when I finished, right when I finished college before I started working, I didn't go to Europe and
Yeah.
do like a backpack through.
I'd love to go to the Grand Canyon or something.
Yeah, huh?
Your mic just died. Let's figure out what happened.
Maybe I stuck it in my pocket or. All right. Okay, maybe if I put it in the front.
Let me look at and see how the cord is going in there. So you want to make sure that this cord,
Okay.
these get to go out kind of straight. So, actually, does that open up? You haven't cut it yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it. Yeah, if you give me um.
All right, let's see.
Oh, I met your
You know
husband.
what? Let me do this.
No.
I don't want to cut you.
Met
Yeah?
Yeah, I met your husband in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Did he enjoy himself?
Oh, yeah, he loved it. Huge Eagles fan.
Yeah. Should have went inside the locker room.
He didn't?
I don't know if he did. I don't think so.
Well, he
'Cause
had to help Jim.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Jim told him what to do. I'm sure you would have liked to have listened to the interviews in the Eagles room, but
Yeah.
I know you're not. Okay, let's see if that works
Thank you.
out. Is that better, Tyler?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. Matt was at practice?
No practice today. Where's Matt?
Oh.
Did you confirm? You confirmed with him
Yeah, I did. I told him.
Tuesday?
at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I got a bad feeling.
Call him. Make sure.
How's it going, Omar?
I'm all right. How are you? What do you mean left this building? Perkins shot this morning?
Yeah, about 40. He left about 45 minutes before we got here.
Okay.
We set up your show as soon as we returned after this.
He says he
Call him. Make sure he's on his way. He's.
Thank you. He's here.
That was funny. That was a good one. That was hilarious. Oh.
Jamel, are you mic'd up? No. Just let me know when you're ready to mic check. Okay.
Hey, what's happening?
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
How's everything?
Much better.
Excellent.
Much better.
Yes, I'm mic'd up, so.
Okay, I'm gonna.
I'm on, Dylan. Or Tyler.
All right.
Jamel, can you get us
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Thank you.
Yeah. Dolphins stink, huh?
They don't stink. They beat themselves. I watched that. I did the film study.
Yeah.
They beat themselves. They dominated Dallas on just about every drive, except for the ones that Dallas scored on. Defensively, offensively, as usual, they couldn't do anything. But Tannehill had some great throws in that game. He just, nutted up at the end. It's
Right.
just as he usually does. It's. What was I saying to you?
And
Picture,
you just knew it too.
picture,
Omar Miller run the ball well, and then
picture.
they just decided they weren't going to give it to him anymore.
Okay. Whatever you feel.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh.
Okay, I
All
think that's
right.
plenty.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh my goodness.
Boom.
Is your water cold, Matt?
It's the perfect temperature.
I did. But, so
Are both shots in focus?
when it starts, we're on the wide shot for a good minute.
Yeah.
So as soon as it starts, it's
Okay.
What time we got? I got 2 minutes. Excellent.
2 minutes. 2 minutes to game time. 1 minute to game time. If you are watching us here early, we will stick on a little bit later and hang with us. After, we'll take some of your live questions in our overtime.
Make sure. Well, phone's off.
Can we go up a little bit on the wide shot?
Make sure that your questions are put into the live chat area or ask them on Twitter using the hashtag #XandOmar, and I will find them. Okay, Sarah, you gotta make sure my hair isn't everywhere. Huh? Okay. And I even cut my hair too. It just won't go away. Oh shoot. You need your water thing.
I do.
I need mine too. I need some more water. I get so thirsty during the show. What's wrong, sir? Omar, move a little to the right. Yes? All right. Computer you cannot see on the side, correct?
No, we cannot.
You sure?
Yes.
All right.
Ready whenever you guys are.
Go ahead, you get ready, and I'll continue to get the questions in the queue, or actually retweet this. Boom! We're launching. We're ready. We're live.
Boom.
Missed you, bro.
I miss you too.
Hashtag X and Omar. Again, if you want questions, we're here. We're answering them. Ask them. Use the hashtag. We'll find them. Why can't? Hashtag X and Omar. I'm ready to go when you are. I'm ready to go. All tweets. Ready to go.
Welcome to another edition of X's and Omar, Sun Sentinel Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly. I'm CBS 12 Sports Director Matt Lincoln. You are angry fans once again, just about ready, I think, to give up on this team, and it's unfortunate. I think this was a very soul-squashing type of game. 24-14 loss at home to a Cowboys team that had only 2 wins coming in.
Coming on a 7-game losing
A
streak.
7-game losing streak. Of course, Romo was back, but still.
Oh yeah, Romo didn't play a perfect game. In
No.
fact, the Dolphins beat themselves. And I hate that cliche where people say, "Oh, we beat ourselves," because usually it's like it's BS. No, you got beat. The opponent was better than you. But in this game, anytime the Dolphins had something good happen, they also had a penalty that negated it. Anytime they were in difficult situations like the red zone, like in the going in area, Jamar Taylor allows that touchdown. Des Bryant is covered by a linebacker and a safety and beats them. You beat yourself. You run the ball 5 yards a carry, only attempt 14 rushing attempts.
Yeah.
You beat yourself.
If you're
Pick 6 interception. Let's not forget that one.
that was an ugly one. If your team is having a good season, this is a game that it stinks and you swallow it and you go forward. But when you're a team that can't afford any games like this anymore,
No slip-ups.
it's rough.
Definitely.
It's certainly tough. So, is it too far gone for this team to get this season going in the right direction?
You know what? It depends on what your expectations were. If your expectations were 10 wins and playoffs, it's out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that this Dolphins team is going to go 6-0. And more than likely, even though the caliber of opponents and the schedule is not tremendously difficult, I think you're probably facing the most impressive opponent that you're facing is this week against the Jets. And then at the end of the season against the Buffalo Bills, you're facing teams with no Flacco, no Andrew Luck.
Right.
You're not facing tough opponents in the final game, but I think 4-2 is a lot more realistic than 5-1.
Well, and they're only one game out of the final wild card spot.
Oh, yeah.
But there's 7 teams ahead of them or so, and now they're technically 2 games behind the Bills, even though
Yes.
they're only 1 game behind the Bills.
If you're expecting to catch the Bills, it's probably not going to happen just because you have to do better than the Bills because they own the tiebreaker head-to-head against you. I think the Jets are the Jets and Pittsburgh are the realistic wild card contenders in the AFC, in my personal opinion. I could be wrong. Pittsburgh with Ben Roethlisberger, the health, every minute it's
I
something.
think they've got it. I think the Steelers for sure have one of
Okay.
those wild card
Well,
spots.
well, if you still want to stay in it, this Sunday against the Jets, this is your chance. If you don't beat the Jets this Sunday and you've been swept by not only Buffalo,
Right.
but also the Jets, and more than likely the Patriots,
Right.
it's over.
Well, let's talk about one of the most, in my opinion, frustrating things about what happened this past weekend. Lamar Miller, once again, running the ball really, really well. The Dolphins, though, failed to score 21 points for the 8th time this season. The offense is ranked 26th in total yards per game, 26 in points per game. They were running the ball well with Lamar Miller, and they just gave up on it. Just gave up on it.
What's new?
I know.
It is a common thread of this season, even though Dan Campbell says we want to run the ball, even though Bill Lazor says I'm trying to run the ball. Something's not connecting. And, you know, I looked at every single play and every single instance, and there are a lot of times where they call runs and the runs got negated by penalties. A lot of times penalties prevented you from running because you're in difficult down and distance situations. However, you still were averaging 5 yards per carry. The game was in a balance at 14-14, and you decided you were going to
He was
pass.
just done with it. Yeah.
And you got to be committed to it. It has to be a mentality. If you're going to have a tough guy mentality, you're going to stick to the run. And I would tell you that the Dolphins have been more successful when they fed their backs and they've stuck to the run. Now that Jay Ajayi is being more incorporated and more involved in the offense, I don't object to that. I don't have a problem with it. The passing game with the backs as well is benefiting, and Jay Ajayi can catch the ball as well. But you've got to feed the backs more in order for this offense to blossom. And I just don't think that there's a true commitment to it.
So let's take our first Twitter question. It comes from @RobertCraw1122. When is it Bill Lazor's time to fall on the sword? I know it's not all his fault, but you can't ignore that he's part of the problem. Let me switch that to, is he the biggest part of the problem?
Yes, I think the offensive line is a bigger part of the problem. And right now, if I had to list problems for
Yes.
the Dolphins team, Jason Fox is at number one. The right tackle is at times a liability. You know, remember, I've gotten off the Dallas Thomas liability
Sure, yeah.
train. Dallas has been playing pretty well, pretty decent for the past couple of weeks. Now the liability is Jason Fox. Juwan James has got to get healthy.
Yeah.
I
How
think
far
he's
away is he, do we think?
Probably a week, maybe two.
Okay.
I don't think he plays this week. But, man, whew, Jeff Linkenbach, what are you doing, bro, where you can't beat out Jason Fox?
Yeah.
You need to take you need to take some, take some ownership for the fact that, hey, that job is there for the taking. I got to kill it in practice. And if the Dolphins coaching staff goes into practice every week and decides that Jason Fox is the best that we've got to offer, that's a sad state and an indictment on Dennis Hickey, Mike Tannenbaum, Eric Stokes, everybody in the evaluation staff, because Jason Fox is not playing well.
To get back to that question, are we going to get an issue here with Campbell and Lazor? And
Yeah,
they just,
there
they
is.
Just I mean, they just
There
get
is
rid of
an
Lazor?
issue.
They let him go before the end of the year?
No, I don't think you're going to let him go before the end of the year.
Okay.
But I mean, ultimately, everybody's going to be fired at the end of the year. let's be real about it. Unless Dan Campbell's team gets hot and finishes, I would say at least 4-2, gets this season to 8-8, everybody's going to be fired at the end of the year. Now, do I feel like Al Saunders probably should take more ownership of the play calling in the game? Probably.
Because the play calling right now
Yeah.
is not working. All right, let's move on. The Dolphins have struggled in every phase of the game this season. Miami has only played 2 complete games, blowout wins over the Titans and Texans, and that seems like a really long time ago. At least one phase has struggled each week. Can this problem be fixed?
No, because this is
I
what
don't see the offense coming together like next week, all of a sudden fixing these problems.
we're 10 weeks in.
Yeah.
We're 10 weeks in, and what people have to understand is that the offense is not playing good as a whole. And part of the reason that the offense is not playing good, and I won't even just say part of the reason. The primary reason the offense is not playing good is because the quarterback is not playing good.
Right.
While he has moments, and I thought some of the passes that he threw against the Dallas Cowboys were some of the prettiest passes that he's thrown maybe his entire career. Jarvis Landry, Kenny Stills, deep balls, 2 deep balls in one game. We complained about having
Right.
4 deep balls one season. We got 2 in one game. Then that touchdown pass to Jordan Cameron, probably rolling out to his right,
Gorgeous.
buying time.
Gorgeous.
You know, the pass was a little bit inaccurate, but we've talked about it. Him and Jordan Cameron, they do not have chemistry.
Right.
But somehow they found a way to work well together to get that touchdown in the red zone. He was 1 for 1 in the red zone. But third downs, 1 and 10 on third downs. Don't complain about not having enough possessions if your team is 1 and 10 on third downs. Who's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL on third downs? Ryan Tannehill.
He's gonna be the worst.
He's not the worst. He is one of the worst. Dolphins have the worst offense on third downs in the NFL. This is a 10-week problem. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden it just showed up and surprise, you were bad on third downs. No, it's been all season. Ryan Tannehill, while he does have decent numbers, 7.4 yards per attempt. That's 18th best in the NFL. And this is a year he's getting chunk yards. 37 passes over 20-plus yards. That's 8th in the league. That's good. 9 passes over 40-plus yards. That's tied for second best in the league. Only Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben, Gambling Ben, has more, and he's got 1 more. The problem that you have with Ryan Tannehill is when the pressure tightens, when the intensity of the game, when you need your quarterback to put his team on the shoulders and play big, Ryan Tannehill shrinks. In third down, in red zone, in fourth quarter. He is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And those happen to be all of the instances when you need your quarterback to play big.
And we're 4 years in, and while
58 starts.
some of the issues have changed, some of the problems have changed, it's still to the point where they have a mediocre quarterback. And mediocre.
I wouldn't say mediocre because I don't like the term mediocre. Mediocre to me is you have a 6-win team or you have a 4-win team. I wouldn't say that's bad. Bad is like 2 to 4.
Okay.
Dolphins have an average quarterback.
Average.
Ryan Tannehill is an average quarterback. I doubt I've been told the one way to evaluate a quarterback is, will he lead your team to the playoffs in 3 of 5 years? In a cycle of 3 of 5 years, will he lead your team to the playoffs? Ryan Tannehill might not make it to the playoffs in 5 years.
In 5 years. Man,
and that means you got to do better.
All right, let's take some more Twitter questions. It's Alan P. Am I crazy for thinking
Alan,
it's time
what's up, bro?
to bench Earl Mitchell and let the rookie get reps? Mitchell can't come off a block. Jordan Phillips making some plays. He's a few here and there.
Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned about his snap count. He had a knee issue, and he's going back to college. But I agree, somebody has to play better next to Ndamukong Suh. I'm okay with C.J. Mosley playing. They pair pretty well together. Earl Mitchell plays like a consistent every down starter, a guy who gets a bulk of the reps, 40 snaps a game, and I don't see why he should get 40 snaps a game. You've got to find, if Ndamukong Suh, there are 3 players on the Dolphins defense that are having Pro Bowl caliber years. Brent Grimes, 3 interceptions, just got an interception against the Jets. Say what you want about, and I go back and forth with these people on Twitter. Say whatever you want about the type of season that Brent Grimes is having, and you can point out all his deep balls. We got Robinson got him in Jacksonville. Sammy Watkins got him twice. Brandon Marshall got him once, but he's also shut down Brandon Hopkins. He's also shut down Cowboys receiver Dez Bryant. 3 interceptions. There are probably maybe half a dozen cornerbacks in the NFL that actually shadow each team's best receiver. Not everybody can do that. You're not going to shut down the Dez Bryants of the world every single day. Look at what Darrelle Revis did. That happened to Darrelle Revis this week on a player that Brent Grimes shut down in DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, he's been battling injuries too.
Yes.
He had that kind of in the middle of the year where some of those bad games
he had a knee and he had a rib
awful.
injury and then he had food poisoning. It is what it is. I'm not saying that he's having a dynamic.
This isn't his best season.
It is not his best season,
Right.
but he's still having a Pro Bowl season. And speaking about Pro Bowl seasons, Rashad Jones is having a Pro Bowl season.
Rashad Jones has been.
And
he makes some big
Ndamukong
plays.
Suh is having a Pro Bowl season. Despite what you want to say or think about him, he's having a Pro Bowl season. The problem that you have is everybody else around him is just mediocre.
Right. And it makes
Those
it look
3
worse.
players are good. Everybody else is mediocre, and that includes Olivier Vernon. While he had a great game against Tyrone Smith, where has he been all season?
And if you don't, if you're out there watching this and you're one of those people that don't believe that Ndamukong Suh is playing well, just watch him. I know we're ball watchers. Everyone's watching the opposing quarterback and the ball in his hands.
Fantasy football would be the downfall of the NFL.
Just watch Ndamukong Suh. Just watch. It's either 3 guys on him or 2 guys on him, and he's still pushing him back. Let's take our next question, and it's about Suh. Noop 942-2001. How soon can we work on restructuring Ndamukong Suh's contract?
Well, to create a little bit of cap space, the Dolphins are probably going to have to restructure one of 2 contracts this offseason. Probably Ryan Tannehill, which I'm not down with that.
Right.
Because when you restructure contracts, you're adding length.
Pushing them out, right.
You're pushing more length to the financial commitment. More than likely, what they're going to do is change some of the balance of Ndamukong Suh's base salary to a roster bonus. Let's say Steve Ross writes another fat check to Ndamukong. Here's $15 million of your base salary, and you're going to get that in cap space. But what you're going to do is lengthen the commitment to Ndamukong Suh to probably an additional year. Now, the player has to agree to it as well. And I don't think Ndamukong Suh is going to disagree to it, depending on who's the coach.
Right.
But there are only 2 ways to create cap space because of 2 players having quarterback money, Ryan Tannehill and Ndamukong Suh. I'm damn sure not extending Ryan Tannehill's contract.
You don't want to bring
I didn't even want him to get the first $95 million contract.
Right. Real quick, Jets game coming up. Some interesting matchups. Jarvis Landry versus Darrelle Revis. That's going to be fun to watch. Brent Grimes versus Brandon Marshall. Who has the toughest task for the Dolphins?
I think it's going to have to be Brandon Marshall, covering Brandon Marshall, just because Brent Grimes, let's not pretend like Brent isn't one of the smallest cornerbacks in the NFL. Great rear athlete, but he is about, I'm a little bit taller than Brent, or we're right in the same company. I know Brandon personally, and Brandon is a huge, Brandon's a huge guy.
Yeah.
So the trick, what I like about that matchup is Brent doesn't play physical.
Right.
If you think about it, I don't think Brent Grimes has a pass interference call the entire season. He's not trying to put his hands on you. He's a technician and probably one of the best technicians in the league. Problem with Brandon Marshall is he wants to put hands on you.
Right.
He wants to run into you, and you're going to have to counter that. So that's going to be difficult for Brent Grimes. There's no real way to shut down a guy like Brandon Marshall. You just have to manage the damage that's done.
And while Landry's played well, it's only 100-yard game, no receiving touchdowns the last 5 games.
Landry's played well. The problem I have with this Dolphins offense, and this is a call out to Bill Lazors, the other receivers have played better and get less opportunities, less targets. Rashard Matthews has, 10 less targets?
Yeah.
He's got more yards and more touchdowns than Jarvis Landry.
Right.
Kenny Stills averages 18 yards per reception. He can be utilized in the same role. He is a slot receiver. When have we seen him in the slot? And I know I like him going out and being Ryan Tannehill's deep ball target, and he's clearly shown he can get that job done, but you're not using your weaponry properly. Jordan Cameron, how often, if ever, have we seen him get a jump ball in the end zone?
I don't think I've
High
ever seen
pointed ball. He's a former basketball player. When have you lined him up out wide, created that mismatch, lined him up out wide, where you get him on a cornerback or you get him on a linebacker and let Ryan Tannehill just lob it up there for him?
I think there was one early where he didn't, I forget which game it was, down the sideline, didn't make the catch, or it was very close.
Devontae Parker is a high ball player, high point the ball. And I'm not saying that Devontae Parker should be playing more because realistically, people, he is the 4th best receiver on this roster. But he can help you in the red zone where you're having struggles.
Quick answer, is that just not the laser offense? Is that what that means? Or is it just the Tannehill not able to make that pass?
I don't think Tannehill's able to make that pass, to be honest with you.
Let's move on, and let's talk a little bit about Dan Campbell. 3-3 now, the interim coach. You said everyone's getting fired. Can he do something here down the stretch to save his job, to have the interim label removed, or is it kind of they need to search for something new and press the reset button totally?
I think this organization, and I wrote this in a column coming after that Dallas game, has to press the reset button completely. And the reason why I say that is because there's nothing redeemable about this team. Right. There's nothing, there's no calling card, there's no identity, you've got Mike Pouncey, Ndamukong Suh, Brent Grimes, Rashad Jones, and maybe Brandon Albert, who is playing pretty well, and Lamar Miller and Jarvis Landry. That's the
7 good players.
7 good players. You've got a roster of 53 players, not even including the practice squad players, where they're all
Right.
And here's the question I have to you, and I want an answer from you.
Oh, no.
I want an answer.
Okay.
What problem from 2014 was fixed by the front office that is not an issue in 2015?
Well, we said that the minute they signed Ndamukong Suh. Take all that money and put it in 7 guys, because that's what they needed. They needed better linebackers. They needed offensive line depth.
But here's the rationale that I have a problem with when you say that. Problem number 1 last year was that they couldn't stop the run. Okay, get Ndamukong Suh, pay him $114 million. You know what problem number 1 is this year? Can't stop the run.
Can't stop the run, right.
Okay, you're right. You're probably maybe my argument is more agreeing with you. Because one man didn't fix your problem.
Right.
And you got to look at what is the consistency of what's going on. Now, against Dallas, where they had 138 rushing yards, they did a pretty good job with the exception of maybe 4 plays. Mm-hmm. And 2 of those plays, Derek Shelby just did a poor job of setting the edge. It happens.
Right.
You're facing one of the great offensive lines in the NFL. But in other instances, linebackers not making plays, defensive tackles not active. I mean, when has any of these defensive tackles not named Ndamukong Suh made a stop in the backfield?
Yeah, and we said at the end of last year, what was the weakest units? The linebacking core and the offensive line. And
same issues.
And we're still at the same place. Okay, at the Griffin VT asks, true or false, Mike Tannenbaum's involvement with the team will prohibit the Dolphins from hiring the best GM and head coach?
Woo.
It's an interesting question.
That is an interesting question. I don't know how to answer it yet because I don't know who the best GM and the best head coach is. And here is the problem that I have. Yes, Mike Tannenbaum has total control and full power and is Steve Ross's liaison. And he definitely needed a liaison. The question that you have to ask is, would Ross have a better chance of making a great hire without that liaison or with it? Because he's already struggled without it.
Right.
Look at his head coaching search. Look at his GM search. He's already struggled without that liaison. Now, Tannenbaum, there are going to be people who will not want to work with him or for him. But then there are also going to be people like last year's version of Dan Quinn who will want to work for him and work with him. The true test is, can you identify that next great coach? And what is his relationship with Tannenbaum? What is his relationship? Does he want full power? Like Sean Payton, for instance. Sean Payton's probably not going to go to an organization that doesn't give him full power.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm a big Sean Payton fan because, truthfully speaking, Sean Payton has run the Saints into the ground. Mm-hmm. But he is a good head coach. He is going to get recycled.
Right.
He is a quarterback whisperer, which is that make an average quarterback better. Question is, does he want to work here with Mike Tannenbaum? And and if he wants full power, what happens to Mike Tannenbaum? So I can't answer that question right now. I'm pretty sure the Dolphins are probably going to go young or a second chance head coach or maybe a college coach. And I think Mike Tannenbaum can get that hire done.
Speaking of second chances, let's skip ahead at John Ospina asked Hugh Jackson as a head coach candidate for either the Miami Dolphins or the Miami Hurricanes. I think he's going to be an NFL guy, don't you think?
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
In the NFL.
No,
so
no
Hurricanes
question about
out.
it.
But
Hurricanes out.
He, I think it was one season with the Raiders, went 8-8, had a great year, and obviously it's
yeah.
Oakland,
the Raiders
so things
were a
went all
dysfunctional
sorts
organization,
right?
Yeah, and they haven't gotten.
I think
right.
as coordinators go, he might be the hottest one out there by the time this season is over. So
he is probably one of the hottest coaches, and for those who know and have followed me forever, they know I love Marvin Lewis.
Yeah.
I love Marvin Lewis's coaching tree. I love watching the Bengals. I think what they do on defense is exotic. I've always compared Ryan Tannehill to Andy Dalton. They've got similar skills. One's winning, one's not.
Right.
And everybody makes all kinds of excuses. The Bengals don't have dynamically great personnel or a tremendously good roster. What they've got is good coaching, continuity and consistency, and it's benefiting them. Hugh Jackson, I am a fan, and hopefully he will be in the head coach mix and popper. Hopefully he'll get serious consideration for the Dolphins job. The question is, What does he want? What part of if they continue to win as they do and maybe win a playoff game in Cincinnati, I think Hugh Jackson's going to be able to pick his job. And right now, to be honest with you, and I hate to say this, Dolphin fans, but if I'm out there searching for a job as a potential coach, I want that Colts job. I don't want the Dolphins job.
The Colts job is it's Andrew Andrew Luck. That's
you want Andrew Luck, not Ryan Tannehill. No offense, Ryan.
All right, so let's go to some prediction time.
All right.
We've been wrong here.
A lot.
It's been rough lately. I felt pretty good early on, but this has been rough with our predictions, almost as bad as the Dolphin season has been.
I think that pretty much explains.
Do you have a good, first off, before you give me your prediction, do you have a good feel about how this game is going to go this
week?
weekend?
Yeah, I do. And the reason I have a good feel about it is because I know both of those coaches on that side, Todd Bowles and Casey Rogers, pretty well.
Yeah.
And I know the type of team that they build. And they build the punch you in the mouth, we're going to take your lunch money type of team.
Right.
Who has this Dolphins team played the worst against?
Those type of teams.
Those type of teams. So I'm predicting it's going to be a pretty ugly 24-13 Dolphins loss.
Well, I mean,
one that makes you consider whether Ryan Tannehill should be the starter. And keep this in mind, Ryan Tannehill has never lost up there in New York.
Do you think there are people out there, though, that you can really finally convince that he doesn't belong to be the starter anymore? I feel like the tide is beginning to turn on him, that people are just sort of, even some of the diehard Tannehill fans are beginning to realize that he's not the guy.
Here's the thing. After 60 starts, you know who a quarterback is.
Yeah.
You can make the excuse about, he only played 19 games in college. Whatever. He's had 60 NFL starts. There's a very, very short list of quarterbacks in the NFL who get 60 NFL starts. And what you're learning right now is Ryan Tannehill is the bottom of the second-tier quarterback in the NFL. Can you win? Should you be building your organization around that kind of quarterback? Either he's got to pick it up and take it to the next level, become consistent, or you got to move on.
I am going to agree with you in the fact that I think the Jets win. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I think it's going to be a little bit of a heartbreaker. I'm going to take the Jets 23-20. So another loss. Hopefully we'll be talking actually about a win next week. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching us live, stay tuned. We're going to hang on and get some of your live questions. So use them. Go to Twitter using #XOmar or do it in the live chat room. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week. The credits are now over. Now this is just for you. This is like our super special alone time. It's just you and us. What do you really want to know? Just really in-depth questions. Well, this is when the honesty really comes out. That was just
because it's not recorded.
Because we're not recording. So we're gonna load up the chat room right here, and I'm gonna start.
Okay, you want?
Yeah,
questions?
I'll take this.
All right.
Okay.
You take that. I'll peruse Twitter.
All right, would you like me to ask you one?
Go for it.
Okay. Sammy Watkins, this is from In the Woods. Sammy Watkins gives Grimes trouble for the same reason as Marshall. He likes to be physical. So I guess do you expect to have maybe Grimes to struggle a little bit?
I do. Sammy Watkins gives Grimes trouble because he's got speed and physicality. Brandon, love you, but he's not fast anymore.
Right.
He's not fast anymore. He just wants to beat you up. And they're going to put him a lot in the slot, so I think he's going to be facing Bryce McCain a lot. Brandon likes working in the slot. That's where he does his best work. So
Brandon Marshall versus Bryce McCain.
Yeah, it's going to be Bryce has been playing a little bit better. You haven't really noticed him as much of a liability much.
That's good. That's how you know he's playing better because you don't see him playing bad.
Yeah,
okay.
He's not on the hot spot. When the season is over, will the offense? Everyone on the line gone except JJ and BA and Mike Pouncey. Okay, so Craig, CC Miami. As when the season's over, will everybody on the O-line be gone except for Jawan James, Brandon Albert, and Mike Pouncey? And I say no. And in fact, I don't think
Billy Turner's probably gonna stick around.
When Jawan James comes back, listen, Dallas Thomas is not playing bad right now. Trust me, I am the number one Dallas Thomas critic in America. The number one. There's nobody who criticizes Dallas Thomas more than me. Zach Krantz of 560 QAM might be, he's my vice president. And I'm just holding Dallas Thomas accountable. He hasn't been a problem for a month. Now, every week, I do my film breakdown and I say, here are the 5 plays Dallas Thomas was a problem and completely destroyed a play.
Right.
Haven't seen
That's many.
maybe one. Maybe his game against who they played the week before last week, not Cowboys.
Last week,
Eagles. His game against the Eagles was not good, but it wasn't Dallas Thomas bad.
Right.
But and I watched the film. I don't have an issue with Dallas. I don't have a single issue with Dallas. Now, Jason Fox,
Wow.
you need to be benched, bro.
All right, let's get a little into Bill Lazor's head, shall we?
Can't get into that.
Do you think you could, because Carlos wants to know, why does Lazor not believe in the running game? Is it because of the weak offensive line?
See, I don't know if it's that he doesn't believe in the running
You think
game.
it's just him?
This
You think it's just
offense
who
is
he
not what he
is?
brought. This offense isn't what he brought. Dolphins aren't even running the read option. So, like, what can he really do? He's not even running the read option anymore. But keep in mind, when he came from the Eagles, they had the #1 rushing offense in the league. So
Yeah, so right.
he's not opposed to running the football.